Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the rib, the end of another week. Well, it was a little nippy last night, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
A little nippy this morning. But it is what it is, and the weather's changing. It's getting darker earlier, so everybody get ready, get your winter stuff out. It's time to bundle up.
I'm already wearing a show jacket.
There you go. There you go. And I went out, took the dog out in the backyard. This one I'm wearing my long sleeve shirts. I'm not wearing my short sleeve shirts. So, but but things always they change. The date changes, but it always remains the same. I guess one of the big news on a national level is they caught CBS editing the interview they did with Kamala, which she screwed up anyway. But even edited, she looked ridiculous. But if they edit, then now they're demanding the transcripts. Remember they did that to Trump? They gave the entire transcript of the interview, so nothing could be like. But you know how dumb these propaganda networks, maybe a combination of stupid and arrogant, because they just don't care. And, they don't care even if they get caught. They actually aired a promo with valid answers, and on the regular 60-minute show, they edited it. It was completely different. It was like, and you don't think you're going to get caught? So I guess the Trump campaign's demanding the full transcript. To know that these people lie, edit, anything that's why they wanted most of her things pre-recorded, so they could go back and basically make it a small side salad rather than a dinner size word salad. Well, politics has become so ridiculous that. Remember the good old days when they used to actually run on issues?
Yeah.
Like the Lincoln Douglas debates the
only debate so far that I've seen this election cycle was the Vance-Walz debate. That was a decent debate.
No, you're right.
You're right. They focused on the issues. There was very little personal attacks. Walz did all the personal attacks, it appeared. And it was, it was informative. Yeah. It was informative. I wasn't bored. Okay? Not because of entertainment value, but because of I value. There's a big difference.
No, you're right. Vance really showcased himself. They've been crucifying Vance, but that was when he explained how they were bringing the illegals in. He was very, very prepared, very thorough. As you said, he didn't really go after. And look, he could have spent the whole debate going after Walz, because that guy's talk about a target-rich environment. That guy has lied about virtually everything in his life. And,
sounds familiar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's lied about everything in his life. And it's like, but he didn't. He's, like you said, when we go back to, but then again, we go back to, I think, the one that really defines where we changed. It showed that the public just doesn't care. You can sell them anything because they don't pay attention, they don't do their homework, and I don't know if they're capable of even thinking, critical thinking. It goes back to the Kennedy, because they showed that on one of the shows. They went back to the Kennedy-Nixon debate. And they showed and that's the thing that began this. The Democrats, you can give them a lot. You can condemn them a lot. They're scumbags. They don't care about the people. They've convinced the poor people they care about them, yet they've screwed them over. They were for slavery. They were for everything. That's bad for the regular people, but they've got a whole bunch of the regular people thinking that they're still their party. But go back to that debate where 90% of the audience who listened to it on the radio, because it was about policy. It wasn't personal attacks either. It was Kennedy and Nixon where, they focused mostly on their issues. And 90% of the people, yeah, they really speak their native language. Yeah, that's good, Linda. You're right. But that's what they do. But 90% of the people listen to it on the radio said Nixon won. Because, people, contrary to, some of the Democrat thing, Nixon was an extremely smart politician. Very, very good in foreign policy. He opened the relations with China. He was an extremely, extremely astute politician. But everybody that watched it on TV, the majority of people said Kennedy won the debate because he was young and handsome and he had a rich wife and, it was Camelot. So they're looking, this is why you look at it today and that's what we got. The people who are going to vote now because what Taylor Swift says or what George Clooney says, they live in a dream world. It was like Kennedy. They looked at Kennedy and they liked what they saw. They didn't care what he said. And now this is the way the Democrats run all their campaigns.
Nothing new at all. Nothing new at all. We received a video to talk about lying and duplicitous things from our usual contributor, Nelson.
Yeah.
And he asked that we show it. He originally sent me the video at 5 minutes and change. And I told him we can't do 5 minutes. It has to be 2 minutes or less. So this one's cut down a lot, but it's about Route 79. So here we go. Not sure where the audio is, but I guess this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, this was, I believe, their
presentation.
Their presentation of what was. Now look at all that green space. Look,
right.
I want everybody to look. All that green space on the left, all the way down to expose the waterfront. And look, you got yuppies walking down the street and everything. They really loaded this baby up. Look,
yep.
They all got Gucci bags and stuff like that. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Look at this. Oh yeah, people just. And you look, traffic's even light.
Which we know is not going to be accurate.
Well, and here we go. There's the mill. There's Cadero's place. Oh yeah, look. Nothing but green space. It's a beautiful thing. I feel like I'm in the country.
Yeah, these presentations are meant to sell a product. You know that, Chip.
Yeah. But they went from this beautifully open, exhilarating green space to a space with nothing but buildings, retail stores and parking garages and stuff. You won't be able to see anything going to your left driving down there with what they're proposing now. So I guess the moral of this great video is they lie like an SOB. That's what they do to you. Yeah, that's right. They were selling a product. It's here we are, Alice in Wonderland. We're going down the rabbit hole. That's what we did. With that video, they took you down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, and that and that's the sad part about it. And I think that video is pertinent right now because guess who was in town yesterday to see the Route 79 project? Your friend Jake. Jakey was in town for you.
Yeah. Look, that guy's such a.
And guess what he got a ride on?
The trolley.
He rode on the trolley up and down.
What a guess! I don't know how I came up with that.
I know it's amazing. And guess who was in this trolley ride? Patty Rigo was part of the display, which is from Viva Fall River. I don't know if she was on the trolley or not, but they did stop to see the Viva Fall River store, quote unquote, at on Bank Street. Ken Fiola, who looked like he had just been hit with a shit pie. Paul Coogan, who looked like he'd been hit by a shit pie. Davol Fiola with their painted on smile.
Yeah. And what were they showing them? The dirt pile?
I don't know what they were doing, but they were driving around.
Listen. Every time I go by there, I tell my dog, look at the dirt pile. Look at the rock pile.
It's a new place for you to go to the bathroom.
Look, you got a whole bunch of plate. It won't be there later. You'll have to, you won't be able to get out of the car because there'll be parking garages, retail stores, according to them. And this is going to, like I said, they sold the people of Fall River such a bill of goods.
Yeah.
It just, no matter how much you tell them, they just don't listen.
I think historically, what's going to happen is Paul's going to go down in the history of Fall River mayors as one of the worst mayors. I really believe that.
The worst, without a doubt. Look, he's gonna win that title. He's gonna win. Nobody's gonna be near him. It'd be like comparing Babe Ruth with a little leaguer. He's gonna be in Babe Ruth of lousy mayors.
And the sad part about it is that title is transferring over to other departments. For instance, yesterday on social media, I started noticing people asking for the resignation or firing of Paul Ferland because of the water and sewer rates. And I said, where the hell were you a couple of months ago when they were talking about this? 24% and 5%. You all complained after the fact. And you said, I didn't know it was going to happen. Everyone else did. You didn't know because you weren't there. You didn't show up. You didn't make a statement. So you can't complain. You can't complain. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but
and now we've got Seth Akins not allowing department heads to talk, so he answers for the department heads. What are they, too stupid? For the first time in a long time, Paul Ferland actually spoke to the city council without Seth Akins running interference.
Well, you know who I blame for that, CJ? I blame the council.
Yeah.
Because the council...
I blame the council president. Because the council president should have said, bam, Mr. Akins, you're out of order. The question was proposed to Paul Ferland, not to you.
And if he didn't, one of the councilors should have demanded a point of personal privilege or a point of order and say, with all due respect, Mr. President and Mr. Akins, when we get a department head down here, we want to hear what the department head has to say.
Even during the budget process, he spoke for the department head.
Yeah, but they're getting six-figure salaries for running these departments.
Right.
And we want to hear what they're doing. And then if you want to speak about what the city thinks, you can speak. But you're not going to. Why are we paying this guy if you're going to speak for him? We don't need department heads. Because, well, we know that in the Paul Coogan administration, he said the worst mayor in history. Because everything he ran on, he's reneged on. Transparency, everything. And he hides and just spends our money. But, they just allow this stuff to happen. You have to. No, you're right. But you know who's running the government, the big money people. It depends on what facet of the government you're looking at. When you're looking at economic development, we have none. What we have is enrichment of the rich, campaign, and friends. This is what we have. We don't have economic development. Do you see a massive focus on small business? Do you see competitiveness in even market rate housing? Do you see a plethora, look up the word, it's your word of the day, plethora of developers, which will then help the citizens because competition breeds better prices. When people compete via business, they try to maintain their prices. But no, we have fundamentally the same few developers that do everything in this city. because you have to pay the gatekeeper fee. The right palms have to be greased. Is everybody horrified by that thought? Do we remember the presentation before the city council about the marijuana business? When that lawyer came down and literally eviscerated the city of Fall River, Coogan, Fiola, about what their demands were to have their palms greased. Everybody forgot that already. Maybe our contributors should pull that video of that city council meeting. You should go back and watch it. You watch the city corporation council sit there like a mummy, because this guy knew what he was talking about, and he really took him to task about the corruptness, about the payoffs, how much he had numbers, he had statistics. This guy has represented marijuana businesses all over the state. But look at this city. Are we trying to get small businesses in here? Well, we can't, because he doesn't care about the people. People have to have money to attract small businesses. It's a synergistic relationship. It means it's stronger than just 1 + 1 is 2. It's 1 + 1 = 10. Because when businesses open up and you have communities where people can actually have money to buy things, you get more businesses. And then those businesses hire people, and those businesses pay taxes, and those businesses get involved in the community. That's why medium cities, the primary economic driver in these cities are small businesses. Why don't we have a lot? Why does Newton have, like I said, 10 to 15,000 more small businesses than we do? Easy. Our household income is $53,000. Theirs is $165,000. Our per capita income is $30,000. Theirs is like $100,000. People in Newton got money. Newton is all small businesses. There's no major industry in Newton. Newton's a bedroom community. It's all, most of those people who are very, very, very affluent work in Boston, around 128 somewhere. And they commute to work and come home to their beautiful little city, where if there's one little crime, it makes major news. This is the problem. Paul Coogan has destroyed this city. And when only 14,000 or 12,000 or 13,000 people turn out to vote, what boggles my mind is this guy from the get-go, from his first minute in office, he just went against everything he promised. I'm going to give you a tax break. He's raised taxes, raised water, raised everything, and he gets reelected. Why? Because nobody shows up. This guy is looking at becoming a multiple term. Carlton had like 12 years. Eddie Lambert had, 10, whatever, 12, I don't know. But a long-term mayor in this city. Look at his record of achievement. Nothing but lawsuits, tax increases, and nothing for the people of Fall River. Plenty for his friends. So I want to see the MBTA come down and make another one of those videos when you're driving down there and you see nothing but buildings and empty retail stores, which they will be ultimately, and then they forward 10 years and then have all the people laying in the streets living on a tent with needles all over like San Francisco. That will be a more authentic video. With that, CJ, back to you.
You bring up the T, and I'm not sure how many parking spaces they have down there for the T. That could be an issue. Do they have 100? Do they have 50? Do they have 200?
But they're going to have a parking garage. Remember that. Fire will probably have a piece of that one, too, like he did the one downtown.
We never know. We never know.
But we don't know. Nobody knows.
Right. And, these are issues which need to be brought up because we know our ZBA, our Zoning Board of Appeals, doesn't care about parking because every single development, they turn around and say, wave parking, wave parking, wave parking. They're destroying neighborhoods. They're destroying neighborhoods. And I'm waiting to see that in the Flint because you know how tight the parking is in the Flint.
Well, especially when you're talking the Davol school. I mean, now I go down that street a lot because I go down county and then I go right by the Davol school. Of course, I grew up in that part of the Flint. I didn't go to the Davol. I went to Aldrich, which is a few blocks over, and I went to James M. Aldrich, which was only like 100 feet from where I grew up. So, but the Davol, the rest of the Flint went to that school. I'm very familiar with that neighborhood. Right now, you can't find a parking place. Yeah, well, I don't, I mean, I can tell you one thing. Whoever gets those parcels getting TIFs, they're getting everything. They're getting all the breaks, and the citizens of Fall River are getting the barota, and that's the bottom line. And like I said, this development. Where's the development? You see Coogan hiding. He's just like Biden, hiding Biden. Now you got hiding Kamala. He's hiding Coogan. You never see him ever say, "I'm going to do something. This is what I'm doing for the people of Fall River. I'm going to target small businesses. We're going to try to look at what he's doing with the Flint now." So you're going to paint the sidewalks with murals that go from one empty storefront to. I like that mural. I really love that one. Have you seen that crosswalk between at the
Flint Village?
Prince Henry statue?
Yep, Flint Village.
You know what I love about that? Somebody that, maybe Nelson should take a picture of that. We should take a picture of that. I love it because that encapsulates the Paul Coogan administration. That crosswalk goes from one empty store to the empty Night Owl diner. Talk about something that is really, really tells it all. You painted a damn crosswalk between the two most decimated parts of that signify what a disaster the Flint has become. There's virtually nothing in the Flint left anymore. And there never will be until the people there are lifted up. But you don't even want them there. That's the problem. But I think that's a classic right there. A painted sidewalk. Talk about bullshit. This is what's going to fix the city. A painted crosswalk, calling it the Flint Village neighborhood or whatever the hell they got it now, and building market rate housing that nobody can afford that lives there now. That's a brilliant, absolutely brilliant economic strategy. Now you know why Paul Coogan could never make principal.
I spoke with an elected official since our last show who called and had many things to say about our last show. But one of the things that this elected official made perfectly clear is that unless the people start coming out to city council meetings and stop being heard, they're not going to make any changes. You have people like Linda Pereira, which are going to do whatever Paul wants. You have people like Brad Kilby, who couldn't show up at the last city council meeting. I don't know why.
He probably had a beer bus somewhere.
Maybe. But, people like Paul Hart, which all fall in lockstep, Laura Sampson, fall in lockstep with Paul Coogan. He knows he's got 4 votes. He knows he's got 4. Joe's been one of those people that swap back and forth, so you never really know what's going on there. But for the most part, I believe Joe is in lockstep with Paul Coogan as well. So that's
anything
why.
that's important. Yeah, anything that's important, he will be with the mayor. But
Right. And the thing is, one of the things that gets me is that there's no decorum in that city council chamber anymore. Okay. Joe Camara does not step down from the dais when he wants to speak. He speaks from the dais. He's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to have the vice president step up, sit there, and he's supposed to sit in a seat and make his statements. He wants to ask questions, he makes them from the floor, not from the dais. There's no decorum anymore. And that's why you have people like Seth Akins answering for department heads.
You know,
and Nelson said it best. Who's running the city? Nobody knows who is actually running things in government center.
Well,
there's city employees are saying that.
There's about 6 or 7 people running the city. It all depends on what aspect of the city you want. If it's the economic development, you know who's running it. The big money men in Fiola.
Right.
So, you know, and politically, you have some other people there that are advising him politically. But it's not Paul Coogan. But I disagree with the councilor to a degree. The people are to blame to a degree because they don't vote. But I want to remind that councilor, who I have a lot of respect for, that every one of those councilors sitting in that chair raised their right hand and swore an oath to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that clearly states they are our representatives, and our substitutes and agents, not the mayors. It's their job to do the right thing regardless of whether anybody shows up at that council meeting. That's the reason they were elected. They were... look at this. I forgot the volume up because I got
We love hearing your voicemail message.
Yeah, if you're a telemarketer, don't waste my time or yours. That's right.
That's right.
But, you know, I got to disagree because it's their job to work for us, not for the mayor. It's not their job to be a freaking bobblehead for the mayor. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not abdicating that responsibility just to the people. The people are at fault. The people are at fault for not showing up and throwing them out of their seats. That is a fact. However, we don't have to go down there in mass to have them represent us because they're supposed to represent us. Yeah, well, that's one of them for sure. We all know that. And been running the city de facto wise for a very, very long time. But, well, like I said, it's when I see that council, it infuriates me because, like I said, they swore an oath to be our, and then this is the con they always say, well, nobody showed up to bitch. Well, you're supposed to know the right thing to do for the city. I mean, Scott was pathetic when he first got there. Ill-informed and nothing more than a political hack. And now, since he left, went to the school committee and came back, on that city council, he is absolutely a total waste of space, and a lot of space at that. So he is a total waste. He has done nothing or said anything that anywhere near something that to advocate for the people of Fall River.
But you know, the people of Fall River were so stupid that they voted him into the city council, even after he did nothing on the school committee for the people. He did nothing for the students. He did whatever Paul wanted.
Yeah, and you know his response to that will be, oh, I was with Kevin Aguirre against the way the Malone thing went down, but we all know that what he was the spy.
Right.
He went over there because he knew that nothing would ever be done with Malone because they had enough cover up people on the other side. He could go over to the enemy side and be a spy. And remember what Sun Tzu said in The Art of War: a good spy is worth 100 soldiers.
No question about it.
So that's what he was. So he'll say, well, I went against the grain when I was on the school committee. So they put him on the city council. Now he's like he's like a giant useless lump there. That's all he does is just sit there with a blank look on his face most of the time. I mean, it's tragic that these people just don't, and they don't care. And why don't they care? It's not that when you go down to the city council, it's too late. It's too late. That's why what this councilor said I disagree with, because they're in those seats and they're going to stay in those seats as long as they'll get reelected by kissing the mayor's ass.
Well, all you got to look at is 30 years in office. That was Leo Pelletier.
Yep.
30 years in office almost. That's Linda Pereira. 20 plus years, Joe Camara.
Yeah.
15, 20 years for Brad Kilby. And is the city any better? Is the city any better? No.
Yeah.
It's
and
not.
Going down to the meetings don't help because they know that they will continue to get elected because as long as they get the votes from the mayor's friends, and until these people realize that if you don't serve the people, you're out of office. And those, like you said at the beginning of the show, CJ, those 4,000 people who don't show up, they're at fault. We had a time in Fall River where we had 70, 80% turnouts. And in those days, you didn't see politicians do what these people do because they would have got bounced like they did in 95.
You're right, Nelson. They don't know how much power they have. Okay? They don't.
No. Well, they become apathetic. They become they become disillusioned and say there's nothing I can do. But there is something you can do. Listen, what did Coogee get the last election? 5,000 or 6,000 votes?
Something like that.
That's peanuts. I mean, that's peanuts. You realize that if 3,000 or 4,000 more people would have turned out, he wouldn't be the mayor? So you can do something. Just get off your ass. I mean, you don't even have to get off your ass now. Now they'll send you a ballot, whether you want it or not. Maybe two.
That's true.
I mean, they're trying to send me a ballot from Michigan. So
you love it. You know you live in Michigan.
Yeah,
that's why you do your show from home.
That's right. Yeah, I'm in Michigan. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, that place is it's beautiful up there sometime, I guess in the summer and stuff up in that the Upper Peninsula up there in Wisconsin, Michigan. They're very, very picturesque states, but in the winter they're like Antarctica. I'm sorry, I don't do Antarctica. I don't. That's why you see all those Nordic people that live up there, the Swedes and the Scandinavians. They all moved up there because it reminds them of where they came from. So I'm my ethnicity is more from warmer climates. I mean, I don't like super heat, but I'm not real. I'm not real. I don't want to live in the tundra.
Well, just so you know, while we're talking about elections, it looks like from what I just reviewed that the City of Fall River Elections Department has started sending out mail-in ballots on the 9th. That was 2 days ago. Now, if it takes 2 days for the ballots to get out, or 3 days, remember, fill it out, mail it back right away. Don't wait. Don't wait. And if your family doesn't get mail-in ballots, make sure they all register for one. They still have time. And they can mail that ballot in because it's important. There's no excuse for you to not vote. There's no excuse for us not to have 80 or 90% participation in the election process. None. And remember, a vote for Paul Coogan is a vote for higher taxes. A vote for Paul Coogan is a vote for higher water. A vote for Paul Coogan is a vote for higher rents. That's what Paul Coogan stands for. Higher rents, higher taxes, higher water, higher sewer, higher. That's what he stands for. And you've got to address that. And the only way to address it is at the ballot box. That's going to be interesting if that happens, Stevie.
Yeah, but they've already said that they're gonna declare that. Look, it just goes to show how ridiculous they are. They're talking about they're the democracy party, but they're not gonna. If he gets elected, they're gonna refuse to accept him. But they refused the first time he was elected. Remember?
That's right.
The hysterical rantings they were showing on like YouTube and stuff like that, and these people yelling, "He's not my president," and one of them banging their head on the steering wheel, and so the other one sitting in the middle of the street.
If he's elected, I'm leaving this country.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. When they say that, when those rich movie stars say, we couldn't be that lucky, but let them go. I just told them, listen, just have a nice trip, and I hope you move somewhere where they take all your money and then throw you out in the street. Yeah, it's best for the city to get rid of them. Look, Nelson, you were the victim of the Coogan. He told you, and I was at that meeting when he told you fundamentally that you live in public housing, so you don't get to speak. God, the Democratic Party, they're so democratic, right? They believe in freedom of speech and everybody is equal. They want DEI. Where was the DEI there? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. He doesn't include regular people and other people. Doesn't matter where you live. Doesn't matter how much money you make. Yeah. But Coogan told you that, and he said, "Oh, do you own a house? Go buy a house." He told you to buy a house before you can talk about homes. Listen, he's a phony. He's a typical Democrat. He said, "Look at Kamala. She's flipped on every policy she's had just to get elected. And as soon as she gets back in, she'll go right back into doing what they do." This is what they do, and he's going to stay in as long as we don't get people to the polls. And like CJ said, it's a vote for higher everything. And the thing is, what really makes me crazy is why aren't people so pissed off at this clown that they vote for spite? I mean, he just doesn't care about them. He looks down at them. He said so many defamatory and derogatory things about the regular people of Fall River. I don't know when they're going to get pissed off enough to go out and vote.
Right.
I mean, how many times is he going to basically say, get rid of them to Flint? Well, we don't want those people there anyway. Now, we want new people. We don't want the people who live in Fall River. The people in Fall River here are riffraff. And there was a state representative once overheard at a parade saying a derogatory thing about the people in Fall River because somebody talked about the crowd, and they fundamentally want a Fall River where only they want Fall River to be Newton, and it never will be Newton. It's a blue collar town, and they don't like the lesser people. It's like the movie stars. They talk about they want Kamala because they're so rich. Inflation doesn't bother them. Crime doesn't bother them. Nothing bothers them because they're insulated from it. And the rest of the people are just riffraff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. If they could clone Joe Stalin and he ran, I'd vote for him if he was running against Paul. Okay? Because at least with Stalin, you knew what you had.
He knew where you stood.
That's right, you do. You know, if you were against them, you were dead. That was it.
That's it. There was no question about it. Hey, just to change the subject a little bit, I brought this up before the show with you.
Yeah.
Massachusetts EBT cards. You know the thing that the people on welfare and food stamps use? According to public records, 2.6 million active cards are currently issued in Massachusetts. Okay? A 37% increase over last year. 37% increase. Seems to be a little high. Well, guess what? There's only 1.9 million from last year, and there's only 1 million people or 1 million active files for EBT recipients. Where's the other 1.6 million cards going? Who's got them? Who's got them? I can't say for a fact that it's immigrants, but they're going somewhere, and they're definitely not coming to me. I don't think they're going to Chip either. So who's got them?
Yeah.
Who's got them?
I got a Paulie card. I pay more for everything, not less. I don't get anything off anything.
Right.
But the fact is, what you have to care about is they track us. They know everything about us. The IRS will chase you around for 6 cents. Now we have all these cards in the system that exceed the number of people that are recorded in those systems. And we know where they are because they know everything about American citizens. You can't go buy a gun. You have to go jump through hoops. They know everything about you. They want to know your history back from the day you were born. But illegals get everything. They get motor scooters, they get driver's licenses, they get EBT cards, they get everything, and they're not even recorded. Look what they did. Look what they did in the states hit by Hurricane Helena. Mayorkas says, well, we ran out of money because we gave it to the illegals. Oh, whoops. No, we really didn't do it. Yes, you did. He said it. They gave the money to illegals. They gave the money to illegals, and now they're saying they didn't have enough money to help those people that were dying, American citizens, without water, without food, dying. If that doesn't get people to the polls, I don't know what will. It's like Paul ignoring the people of Fall River. They don't care. You know why? Those people down south, they're considered riffraff too. They're in our club, riffraff. Did you actually see what Axelrod said? I believe it was Axelrod, the Democratic strategist, when he said, well, you know, this might be kind of like he was implying like it was a good thing that these people were in a situation they're in. You know, the people in Asheville are a little bit more affluent and liberal and, in other words, code for smarter. They're smarter. They'll figure out a way to vote. Those dummies that those hicks that live out in the woods, and they're going to vote for Trump. They're really stupid, so they may not figure out a way to get the vote in this election. And he actually said that. Yeah, exactly. You're right. And that's what they're going to do. You know, we're going to end up with those people. They're going to be subsidized because that's what happens. Listen, we already know they're doing pseudo subsidies on Davol Street. We know who owns those properties on Davol Street. He's got tenants from the War College. They're not Fall River residents. They're naval officers going to the War College. They'll be there for a year, and then they'll be replaced by other people coming into the War College. They're transients. They're shopping at the PX. Not shopping in Fall River. Their money isn't being spent in Fall River, but he's getting his rent from the federal government. This is what's going to happen down here. the people who are from around here, with the developers from out of town, they'll just declare bankruptcy and let the properties go derelict ultimately, because this is what's going to happen down here. You don't have to be Nostradamus to predict this, because up in the government center we got Nostradamus.
Oh God, it's amazing. Well, everyone, Monday is a holiday. It is Columbus. I say Columbus Day. People will say I'm, very racist because I say it's Columbus Day. They want me to say it's Indigenous Persons Day. It's Columbus Day. And
wait a minute. I object. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Whoever did that is another Democrat, because let me explain something. There are no indigenous human beings to this continent. Nobody's indigenous. Okay, they were here before us, but they're not indigenous to North America. They came across the ice bridge that connected Asia with North America. They are not indigenous to this area. Okay, what was indigenous to this area were prehistoric animals, not humans. The species that evolved into Homo sapiens were not on the North American continent. Okay, Australopithecus zinjanthropus, Australopithecus africanus, they were not in North America. Okay, so with that, I object. I'm calling it Columbus Day too.
That's right. It's Columbus Day. Government center will be closed. Banks will be closed. And trash pickup will be delayed one day. So if your trash pickup is on Monday, you'll have to put it out on Monday night for Tuesday. I don't want to see 10,000 posts on social media saying, is the trash delayed this week? Because guess what? It is. It is. So I think she's talking about that what is that? The pink.
The video?
Yeah, she's talking about.
I've seen numerous videos of it.
Yeah, she's talking about this video here. Type in pink book lessons. There it is. So be sure to take a peek at that. I want to thank you all for watching. Enjoy your long weekend. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Because if you don't, nobody will. Have a great day. We'll see you on Monday. We are having a show, so we'll see you on Monday.